All right, my good people. Another year in the books means another year of backlogging in the books and a damn good year of jumping into the backlog this year. I think we got around like 40 or so games that I checked off the old backlog box. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing here today, going through and ranking every game that I played in 2024 that wasn't released in 2024. So backlog games. What I think we are going to do for this ranking here is I so I have my replays in here, I have my backlog games in here. Last year I separated those two. This year I think I'm going to go in and I'm going to rank them together at first, and then we'll create a separate category in the back end for the replays. That way we can kind of see how the first time playthroughs stack up against some of my all-time favorites. I know it's a little bit unfair, which is why we'll separate it towards the end, but nice to kind of put them in a head-to-head matchup at first and see how that fares out. So yeah, as you see, the list of games that we're going to be going through here today, a massive. This was a really, really strong year of diving into the backlog. Like some of the heaviest of heavy hitters that I've never played before, I jumped into and finally have some experience with. And I should say there are a couple games like Fallout 4. I'm playing that right now, so I'll probably finish it before the end of 2024, but we'll just include that on the 2025 list. And that's kind of the same thing with like Grand Theft Auto Vice City, which that was a replay. But I did finish that in 2023, but it was at the end of December in 2023, so it's here in 2024. None of that shit really matters at the end of the day. But let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off with Alan Wake 2. Um, Out the gate, I think we got to go A tier for Alan Wake 2. I think it is one of the most well-directed experiences that I've ever really seen from a video game in any capacity. I think everything blends so well together, from the FMV stuff to the soundtrack to the music is so purposeful in this game, and like it always feels like appropriately out of place in the weirdest way, while never really being actually out of place. Like it's every single thing about Alan Wake 2 is so intentional, and incredible environmental design, incredible lighting. Everything just is so in sync with the narrative that's trying to be told here. I don't think it's incredible from a gameplay standpoint at all, but I mean, it's just so well directed. So got to go A tier for Alan Wake 2. Life is Strange 2, or Life is Strange 1 and 2. But Life is Strange 2, I'll drop Life is Strange 2 in the, I'll drop Life is Strange 2 and Life is Strange 1 in the B tier. I will put Life is Strange 2 ahead of 1, though. I think that I like the survival aspect of Life is Strange 2 more than I love the direction that Life is Strange 1 went, but I wish it would have fully committed to where it was going. Like I thought it was going somewhere way darker than it ended up committing to. And I know that it I understand why they gave themselves some sort of limitation for where they were going to take that story, but man, it felt like holy shit, y'all are looking at going somewhere that I've never really seen a story go before. Was where my brain was looking at the narrative of Life is Strange 1. I was like, damn, okay, this is really shocking. But it didn't end up fully committing to that. Life is Strange 2, I loved the survival elements. I loved kind of having to go around and manage your money, while they didn't fully commit to that either. And that's kind of the thing with this series. It's like I just wish they would commit a little bit more to some of the things they tease. Um, but I still loved going into the convenience store and being like, okay, well, we only have this amount of money, so we got to make smart purchases, going up to people and kind of begging them for money, and kind of getting to feel what that's like, as Everlast would say. Yeah, Life is Strange 2, I really enjoyed that. Pyre, I This is absolutely an S tier game. I think you can argue it's the best sports game ever made. And I wish it would have been pitched to me that way a long time ago. I never really heard people talk about it as a sports game, and it's essentially basketball meets rugby. And it's the best narrative you'll ever experience in a sports game without a shadow of a doubt. And I even think from a mechanical standpoint, there's enough complexity and nuance to this game from just okay, well, we have this enemy who is flying and they're kind of jumping, they're soaring above us and dunking this little orb into this portal and we can't really stop it. So now we need to make sure we have flying enemies on the team or flying teammates on the roster to take on the opponents who are flying all around the place and sort of strategizing your loadout for your team and selecting who you want to send to who you want to send back to Earth. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there was a moment, like a real tearjerker moment, where I sent someone back to Earth and they were talking about how they wanted to stay here in purgatory with us because they felt more of a connection to us than anyone back on Earth. And it's like, oh my God, a real punch to the gut, emotional moment. And it's just really strong, really strong from a narrative standpoint. And I guess I should probably explain the whole idea is you're playing this basketball rugby style of game, and the winner gets to send one of their teammates back to Earth because they're all trapped in purgatory, and the gods are getting some odd satisfaction out of watching these teams compete against each other in this weird rugby meets basketball style of game. Really fucking cool from the creators of Hades and from Supergiant. Um, we got Grand Theft Auto 5, San Andreas, and Vice City. And so I played the definitive edition of Vice City and San Andreas. I couldn't find a good image of the definitive edition for Vice City, but the definitive edition for Vice City when I played it was fucking horrible. Was absolutely horrible. So that's the tough thing here, where it's like Vice City as a game is so damn strong. Unparalleled vibes. Unparalleled vibes. And that's I'm so excited to play Grand Theft Auto 6 because of that Florida Miami nightlife vibe. There's something so specific about Vice City's atmosphere that like I love going to Cali and obviously Vegas and San Andreas. All of the locations for Grand Theft Auto games have a vibe. But man, that Miami vibe in that 80s Miami vibe for Vice City is something so special. But the game was damn near broken, the definitive edition. So it's like that's the hard thing. I guess I'm having to talk more so about the definitive edition experience than I am getting to talk about the Vice City experience. So for that, unfortunately, I'd have to drop it in the C tier. Um, but San Andreas, on the other hand, I played through the definitive edition of that, and there's definitely issues, but it was so much better, so much more cleaned up. And I mean, I gotta go S tier. Or you know what? We'll bump Vice City up to the B tier, San Andreas to the S tier. San Andreas is I mean the improvements that were on offer. You're talking about a 2-year developmental cycle. Vice City releases in '02, San Andreas releases in '04, and dude, you're building off that GTA 3 formula. And Vice City kind of feels like a new coat of paint with Miami. And once again, the atmosphere carries that game. But gameplay wise, it was very similar to GTA 3. San Andreas was like, nah, now you got stealth, go and swim. You have a simulation structure where what you do in this game world is reflected in CJ's stats. Like they naturally update based on what you're doing, and not only that, you see his body is reflecting your actions. You go and eat a bunch of fast food, you get fat. You go to the gym, you get swole. You do a bunch of running, you kind of slim up, and your stamina increases. And it is a fucking complex video game. Such a complex video game. Um, yeah, dude, there's so many new mechanics on offer with San Andreas. And not only, talking about that going from Cali, going from LA to Vegas, and you're looking at all of this being rendered in real time. There's no loading screen when you get to Vegas. You head straight to Vegas on one path, and you enter Vegas. It's like, no, we don't need to. Everything's processed. You can go run around. Feel free. Leave Cali, enter Vegas. Boom, off to the races. It's fucking crazy on a technical level. 2004? Are you fucking kidding me? Just one of the most impressive video games to ever exist, and not to mention and a fantastic story. I feel like this is really where they started to, and GTA 4, which we talked about last year. I played through that for the first time, or finished it for the first time last year. Incredible story. The probably you could argue the best of the series, but San Andreas is right there, and also GTA 5 is right there. GTA 5 is also an S tier video game. I know people get real bent out of shape about the live service online nature of it today, but when you look back to 2013 and you think about that story, the Michael, Trevor, Franklin swapping between those characters at any time, they all have their own sort of actions or I guess reactions where when you swap to those characters, they're all doing something different that feels natural to their character. Um, and not only that, like Trevor is low key so much more than just this batshit crazy psychopathic villain. Like he's a very interesting character, much more interesting than I remembered him being. And I've played through GTA 5 a couple times, but playing it now I played it when it came out 2013. I would have been, so you're talking 11 years ago. I would have been like 18 years old, something like that. And I just looked at Trevor as like the embodiment of insanity. And you need that reflected in a game about stealing cars and killing fucking innocent civilians. Like you need that. But playing it now at damn near 30 years old, I I was able to see like little details. Oh damn, that tattoo that Trevor has of Michael on his arm. The whole thing don't want to do too much spoiler shit. A 10-year-old game, but regardless, the whole his buddy being in prison and his whole MO is like, I want to get my buddy out of fucking prison. He is a ride or die, loyal to the core friend. And, he's a much more interesting character than I remembered. And we ain't got to go through the whole cast, but Michael, I feel like he plays that Tony Soprano role so well in this game. And then Franklin is sort of the mediator, sort of the guy that the story sort of goes as Franklin goes. He is sort of the neutral force to this entire arc. Kind of feels like the true main protagonist. But they all complement each other so fucking well, and all their abilities complement each other so well. Where Franklin has the getaway driving, and he can slow down time when he's moving around when he's driving. With Michael, having the Michael has the slowed down effect with the shooting, and Trevor has like the whole rage system, and Trevor's more he's like a pilot, so his piloting abilities are much better. And then you have the gameplay variety from the heist to fucking going to the depths of the sea with the submarine and fucking bank robberies, and there's just a lot going on that is so easy to overlook because we expect it from GTA, but it's such a polished, well-refined version of what we expect from Grand Theft Auto. And I just think it's cinematic from a cinematic standpoint, so strong, man. So strong. GTA 5 in a lot of I feel like in a lot of respects is not underrated, but like people look at it now in its online live service format in a negative light and forget how good that story is. All right. Next up on the chopping block, we have Skyrim and Oblivion. And we'll go, I mean, dude, Skyrim will go S tier as well. Just such a humongous improvement over Oblivion from the combat standpoint and from the environment standpoint. Um, S is, I don't know about S actually. I'm thinking now S A. Well, we'll leave it in S for now. We'll think about it a bit later. Skyrim has a little bit weaker of a story than Oblivion, and we'll throw Oblivion in the A tier for that alone. Oblivion's rough. Gameplay's rough, visuals are horrendous, but goodness gracious, man, that story, the ending of that story felt so concrete, so important, so impactful. Where Skyrim kind of was a bit of a, it's a bit of a wet fart. Like it just went out on a whimper in some capacity. But I do think there's still some incredible story moments in that middle period of Skyrim. And yeah, just I loved the summon system. I loved I just loved roaming around in that world. And I actually felt like I could play in third person a little bit more in Skyrim. And the cinematic cuts with the combat, there was some cool shit in Skyrim. Gears of War 5. Okay, so we have Gears of War 2, 3, 4, and 5. Played through all four of these this year for the first time. And also, I should mention, played through Oblivion and Skyrim for the first time. The Grand Theft Auto games were replays. Life is Strange for the first time. Alan Wake 2 for the first time. Pyre for the first time. I guess I should kind of talk about that a bit more, which I don't know. We'll get to that when we separate it from replay to first time backlog. And let's see here. I How should we do the Gears ranking? I'll go. All right. So Gears 2 has my favorite boss fight with the lake monster. For that alone, we'll put that in the A tier. I'd put it above Life is Strange, and I would never put it above GTA Vice, the like regular O2 launch version of Vice City. That would be S tier as well. But the definitive edition, yeah, not so much. Gears of War 3, it was more like big action movie blockbuster, but it didn't feel as emotional as Gears of War 1 and 2. It didn't have that story that I was really glued into. So we'll throw that in the B tier. And Gears of War 4, yeah, Gears of War 4 I'd go A tier, and Gears of War 5 I would also go A tier. And we'll swap around the order in a little bit here, but just to go ahead and spoil everything with that, Gears of War 5 is my favorite. I think Gears of War 5 is so strong I love how it just soaks in that atmosphere in the same way that Gears of War 1 did. Gears of War 1 would allow you to kind of breathe it in, take in the atmosphere for a second, slow down. It doesn't have to be nonstop go, go, go. When you have such well crafted levels and environments, like soak that shit in, and kind of lean into the horror in certain sections. Like I remember the whole theater moment of Gears of War 5 was so tense and atmospheric. And I remember kind of just roaming around the back halls, and I popped into a bathroom and fucking just like a Resident Evil game, when the zombie pops out of the stall, you get that kind of moment with Gears of War. It's obviously not a zombie, but you get that kind of moment with Gears of War 5. And the open world design I thought was really strong. The vehicle that you're using to kind of glide around, and some of the side stories had big, just uh, memorable narrative beats that were maybe not the biggest cinematic masterpiece, but good writing, good, strong, meaningful side content to add to the mix. And yeah, Gears of War 5 is definitely my favorite of the bunch. So we'll go ahead and just plop that towards the top. Yakuza 0 and Kiwami. First time playthroughs on both of these. 0 I like much more than Kiwami. I'll go 0. We'll drop both of them in the B tier. I don't know if I would quite go A tier for either of those games, but I 0 was dope as shit with the whole managing the nightclub and managing the real estate portfolio. Like those were games in and of itself, along with you had the battle arena thing where you're going in and you can like place bets and shit on these ladies who are in this tournament, this fighting tournament. And there's just a lot of cool shit in Yakuza Zero. Now, also, I love switching to uh Dajima. Is that how you say his name? The dude, this dude. Let me zoom in. It's kind of blurry a little bit. But that fella right there with the eye patch. That motherfucker's combat is so fun, dude. So quick, rapid fire attacks. And not getting to play as him in Yakuza 1 in Kiwami was like, a little bit of a bummer. And I love the bond between in Yakuza Zero. It's like the story is so tied to Kiryu and Akira, the kind of brotherhood. Once again, don't want to get too into it, into what happens, but there's like a big moment in that game where you don't see it coming. You're like, holy fuck, okay then. And yeah, so it's much more memorable to me than Kiwami. Kiwami has a real strong start to the story, but then it falls off a little bit. But yeah, Yakuza Zero, I would put above Kiwami for sure. And Yakuza Zero, I'd probably put in the A tier. Fable 2. I'm gonna get a drink of water real quick. All right. Fable 2. I would go, yeah, B tier for Fable 2. It is, in my opinion, the real draw of Fable 2 is the customization, going in, detailing your character however you like. I mean, you have a base character, but going in and picking the different outfits and picking the different wife or the different, whatever direction you want to go in that world. It seems like it's open to so many possibilities. Um, which I really appreciate. And I appreciate that it allows you to do really silly shit, like really silly shit where you could possibly have a baby and you got to deal with the consequences of that and going and buying houses. And like, it's just a fun game. And it really leans into fun over everything else where you can't die. If you get killed in battle or if you're downed in battle, you just get like a bigger scar. It's like, fuck yeah, that's dope. I want my character to have this big ass scar anyway. So yeah, Fable 2, really solid game. But it is it's not like a narrative juggernaut or anything like that. And it's not a gameplay juggernaut either. But really just fun. Wolfenstein The New Order and Wolfenstein The New Colossus. So first time playthrough for both of those as well. And I would go, I mean, dude, I think I would have to go Wolfenstein 2. It's going to be up there in that A tier. And then Wolfenstein The New Order, I would go, I mean, I'd go A tier for both of them, man. They're both fucking phenomenal video games. Um, I think that Wolfenstein 2 is just, there's so many moments in that game that, and I'm a moments guy. Like I don't, lore and this, that, and the other, all good and well, all cool, but like moments, shit that I remember, big character beats, big cinematic moments that are like stand out, will forever be etched in my memory for time in memoriam. Like I will never forget the I- I'll just say out of this world section of fucking Wolfenstein 2. It is batshit, man. We'll say the whole movie part of that game. What the that was so badass. So unbelievably fucking badass. Midway through the game, the different ability set that you get to swap to and you get to choose like which ability that will be a total game changer to the way you play the game, picking which of those you want midway through the game to totally spice up the formula, the moment to moment gameplay. Like Wolfenstein 2, and it's fucking brutally hard. Brutally hard. I like Wolfenstein 1 more than 2 in that regard, which Wolfenstein 1's hard as fuck too, but um Wolfenstein 2 just has the moments. It has the moments, man. And also, I loved that like you have more backstory build up for BJ in Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein 1 or the New Order, it was I I don't know. Yeah, Wolfenstein 2 just hit way harder for me, way harder. The Saboteur, I would go. Yeah, we'll go B tier. No, I mean if the Yakuza games are in the A tier, the Saboteur also has to. No, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna drop. Okay, I only have Yakuza 0 in the A tier. All right, yep, 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 perfect. Saboteur is gonna accompany Yakuza 0 in the A tier. It is a game all about, you know, it, the cool thing about the Saboteur is that it is a GTA clone kind of format, but you're playing as a character who is trying to reclaim Paris. And similar to Wolfenstein, you're killing a bunch of Nazis. And these Nazis have occupied and taken over Paris. But for each district of Paris that you reclaim, you restore color to that area. So it's like all in black and white, but when you take the area over, it becomes, full of color again. And once again, I try my best not to spoil shit, but there's a moment in the Saboteur where everything is in color up to this certain point, and some really fucked up shit happens, and the entire shot goes black and white. And the only colors that you see on the screen are the red blood from what happens in this moment and the blue eyes. And I'll just say that. I'll leave it there. I think you could probably kind of guess the angle of that, but damn, it was a cinematic fucking just it was so once again memorable. That's a moment from that game I will absolutely not forget. And yeah, fun as shit. Fun as shit. Next up on the chopping block, we go back to the S tier for Red Dead Redemption 1. I played through like 20 hours of this a few years back, and for whatever reason, I just got distracted and never finished it. Well, I did finish it this year, and thank God I did because goodness gracious, that ending, all time. I mean, that's one of the greatest endings in video game history. Incredible side quests in this game. I loved going and even the shit where you're going off and like collecting flowers, which is the most tedious, boring bullshit that almost every video game throws at you for some bullshit side quest, just filler mission. But it actually like there's something in that in this game where it actually has an impact. And the reveal, you're like, okay, I guess going off and collecting these flowers actually led to something consequential. I mean, just going around and fucking playing some blackjack and some five finger fillet and going and doing some arm wrestling. It's just a world that you want to be in. As brutal and fucked up as it can be, it's still so fun to just participate in activities and do the side quests and sort of roam around and have these, spontaneous interactions that feel so tailor made and designed around your specific game experience. It's like one of those water cooler games where I wish I would have been, I wish I would have been my age now when this came out and covering games the way I am now to just like talk about it and hear what y'all experienced in that game versus what I experienced versus what like I just I that's one of those zeitgeist moments that I'm kind of bummed out I was so young when it came out initially because I really and I played it when it came out but I never really dove into it in a big way until I got way older. But yeah, man, Red Dead Redemption 1 is, you know, I think that you can kind of make an argument for RDR1 where like I don't think it's a better playing game than Red Dead Redemption 2 at all, but if you like faster, more action-packed gameplay, Red Dead 1 kind of it gives you that a little bit more than Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 is very deliberate, very methodical. Every move has weight behind it and impact and purpose, whereas Red Dead 1 is like you're playing GTA but in the Wild Wild West. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. It's and also real good cover system in this game. Like they made the proper improvements because GTA 4 in 2008 to Red Dead 1 in 2010, GTA 4 feels antiquated, feels archaic compared to Red Dead 1. So, yeah, it's it's a hell of a video game. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. My favorite of the Tomb Raider rebooted trilogy of games. S tier, man. I don't know. I don't know. A tier, we'll go A tier. Yeah, we'll go A tier for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That S tier, ew, there's some competition up there. That this is the S tier is being occupied only by the juggernauts this year, it seems, and also Pyre, which to me Pyre's a fucking juggernaut. But Shadow of the Tomb Raider, dude, it is just a man. That game plays well. That game plays well, dude. Camouflaging yourself in mud and then you have the fear arrows that make enemies just go batshit crazy, and the whole Batman Arkham mechanic where you're standing in the tree and you shoot the arrow and kind of tie the enemy up, and you wrangle them up towards the tree and do that quick stealth takedown. And there's just new mechanics in here that were fucking fun to dick around with, and it feels like that. It feels in a weird way with it being the third of these games, it feels a lot like MGS3, where it's leaning into that survival feel so much more. It doesn't go quite as far as MGS3, but yeah, that game is fun. That game is really fun to play. I love that final like hour stretch of the game. Crazy big fucking, the helicopter section towards the end, the moment with the lava pouring down the street and you're taking off running, and there's some real strong moments. Once again, memorable moments. That's my shit. Yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider has that in spades. Blitz the League 2. So I played Blitz the League 1 a fucking ton growing up, but I never even really knew they made a Blitz the League 2 until I got much older. I never played this thing. And I will throw, I mean, that's a B tier game. I we really don't have many C or D tier games at all. Even we got maybe one. Anyways, Blitz the League 2, what they did here was they really wanted to give you like a legit story with a decent amount of cinematics, and you're playing as a character who they create. Like you're not getting to go in and fully customize this character and customize their appearance and all that shit. Like they have a character model already created. And so you can think, yeah, that's kind of a limitation, but in reality, for what they're trying to do, it's so much better because they have a character model where they have a dude who's doing all the voice acting for this one character model. And so they're able to tell a story centered around this one character, opposed to giving you a story that's super light in the ass, but allowing you to go in and have full customization over your main character. And it's a decent story, dude. It's a decent story. It's like surprisingly strong. And all of that obviously is accompanied by the chaos that if you played Blitz the League 1, all that chaos is still back in 2. It's not definitely not going soft in any regard in terms of the steroid usage, in terms of being doped up, in terms of the bones snapping whenever you're tackling your opponent in that X-ray vision, and all of that's still intact, as well as the arcadey style of football action that you expect from that first game. And yeah, but the story is just really good in Blitz the League 2. Mafia 1 and Mafia 2. So, huh. I will go. Yeah, we'll go A tier for both of them. I guess. I mean, Mafia 2, I played the definitive edition of that as well as the remake of Mafia 1. And the definitive edition of Mafia 2 is a little bit rough. It's definitely got some issues. And Mafia 1 is like a crystal clear, just polished, perfected fucking remake. Excellent, excellent remake. But we'll drop them both in the A tier for now. Mafia 1 I think is an all-time like of this style of game, your open world crime, sandbox. Mafia 1 has the best story of any game in this subgenre, I would say. Better than any Grand Theft Auto, better than any Saints Row. Mafia 1 story is impeccable. Mafia 2 is it, it's a technical marvel and a whenever you go to prison in Mafia 2, spoilers for very early in the game, but that distinction between the world pre-prison and post-prison when you get out and it's like what does it go to? It was does it go 40s to 50s or is it 50s to 60s? Regardless, the that transition where that decade passes or so and the architecture's different in the city, the car designs are different, and like even the feel of the cars, how you drive them, their maneuverability, everything is so much different. And that had to have been hard as fuck to retool that entire open world setting and the vehicle design and all that shit inside of one game. So it's very impressive from a technical standpoint, but Mafia 1 just has that story, dude. Mafia 1 has that fucking story. It has that story in spades. Firewatch, good game, C tier game though. C tier game. And it's not a C tier game in and of itself, but when compared to what else is on this list, it's a C tier game. And it also had a bit of an underwhelming ending, so that's like the last thing I remember from that game, obviously, and I'm sort of still stuck with that. Um, but overall, the experience was pretty strong with Firewatch. Very creepy, consistently tense experience. Nice, just simple narrative driven walking sim. Nothing going on much from a mechanical standpoint at all. But I loved that idea of giving you a fucked up situation to face and just seeing where your mental boundaries are, or I guess seeing where seeing what moral lines are too far to cross for the player and allowing that to be that's totally your choice in the game. So yeah, impressive from that standpoint. The Walking Dead played through every series or every season of the series this year, and I would go. I'd probably go B tier. Yeah. I mean, I'd go B tier. If Life is Strange is on the B tier, then The Walking Dead should also be there. It is season one, and that's the thing. I could have separated all of them and ranked them individually, but at the end of the day, it's I played them all back to back, so they're all kind of like I distinctly remember liking one, two, and three more than the rest for sure. I loved the survival elements of season two, similar to Life is Strange 2, but definitely not as mechanically or yeah, not as mechanically feature rich as Life is Strange 2, but I appreciated, playing as Clem and having those more dire situations kind of going out into the world by yourself in season two. Very tense. Season one, incredible fucking relationship between Lee and Clem, all time iconic bond between two characters, and sort of the redemption arc of Lee, where he is sort of, in a lot of ways, his dedication to keeping Clem alive and safe is his way of, in some way, it's like his way of alleviating or reminding himself that he still is a good human, And it's like that's a really compelling narrative structure where it's like not about proving anything to the world, but proving something to yourself of like, I might have I might have this past that led me to a certain moment where I got myself in a bad place, in a bad situation, but like I'm still a good person. Um, so yeah, and then fucking incredible ending there as well. Season three, I loved the new character swap. I thought it just felt big budget, and so yeah, I dug that. But four didn't quite land with me as much. McCone, is that McCone? I don't even remember the name of that character, the spinoff thing, but that didn't do much for me at all either. But yeah, B tier. Deadly Premonition. I Yeah, I mean that's C tier. That's definitely C tier. I think you can make a real argument that it's D tier. I think objectively it's D tier. It's a weird thing. Objectively, it's either well, in my opinion, like objectively, it's D tier. It's a bad video game, but you when you hear people talk about it, it's either if they're ranking it in some sort of tier maker fashion or reviewing it, it's either a fucking 10 out of 10 or a 3. It's one of those very polarizing games. And I guess I lean more negative than most, or I guess I lean more on the negative side than the positive side. But it's, I just appreciate the ambition on offer here. This open world where you got a vehicle, you're driving around, and that shit sucks as well. This third person shooter survival horror Twin Peaks inspired thing. The shooting is not good. I think as a survival horror game, it's not great. I think the enemy design is rough. I think some of the bullet sponge encounters fucking suck. It's but man, that thing has a narrative on it. It is a like I played through it, finished it. As frustrating and annoying as it was, I was still always compelled to see it through. So like it's not a good game, but man, it's a compelling game. And so yeah, for that I'll throw it in the C tier. A short hike, we'll also throw that in the C tier. Um a short hike is a very short experience, very to the point. But I actually really appreciate that about this game. I felt like it was really able to kind of go everywhere and do just about everything that you want to do in an open world game in a reasonable time frame. You know what I mean? It's I never feel that sensation in an open world game. Like I never feel that satisfied when like if I put 5 hours into almost any other open world game ever, you feel like you're just scratching the surface. But you put 5 hours into this, you're like, I've done damn near everything you can do in this game. And it's so satisfying to be able to wrap up an open world game so quickly. And I know that's not like a ringing endorsement to say, hey, go spend a bunch of money to play this but it's not a bunch of money. I played it. Was it on Game Pass? Or I know if it wasn't on Game Pass, I know I got it for really cheap. So it's like there's not a lot of investment there, so it's like an easy game to recommend. Um, yeah, and it kind of gives you that like combat. What's the right word I'm looking for? Like combatless. There's no combat in the game, but it gives you that sort of combatless Breath of the Wild experience. That doesn't sound right. Forming that combatless doesn't sound like a correct way to say that, but not having combat, but getting somewhat of that similar Breath of the Wild style experience from the exploration. And I remember the section where you're going and doing the damn you're like playing volleyball and shit. I don't know, it's a rewarding, satisfying little experience. And yeah, so it's one of those games that once you finish it, you look back maybe a little bit more fondly on it than when you're actually playing it. But I don't know. I felt like I was always like the whole time I was playing, I was, yeah, this is pleasant. This is nice. BioShock Infinite, one of the best first person shooters of all time. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is going in the S tier. Holy shit, man. Level design, level design, level design. Goodness gracious, those sky hooks and how well built they are into this world and how well built they are into the action where you're hopping on the skyhook shooting down at motherfuckers below you and you jump off the skyhook and there's a building off to your right. You pop open the door and there's a staircase and a couple enemies are occupying the staircase. You pop them, take them out, and you circle down the staircase and there's a like the enemies are on that sort of first floor and you're finding new strategy. Okay, I'm going to duck under here. I don't think they can see me. I'm going to take them out from the side. I'm going to use my different powers and abilities. I'm going to have the fucking the section where um was it where you have like you could set up the turrets and you can set up a barricade to go and get cover and like there's so much flexibility and just great level design blended into this chaotic action packed experience. And I know that's the thing. There's the separation between, okay, it's a great first person shooter, but maybe not a great BioShock game. But I've always been of the opinion that like you you can't be Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 forever. You got to go and try Resident Evil 4. And sure, that leads you to Resident Evil 5 and 6. But Resident Evil 4 was fucking great. You know what I mean? And like you have to take those big bold swings. And it's going to mean alienating fans. It's going to mean it's going to mean that you are doing something that has the potential to amass an entirely new base and it also has the potential to ruin a fucking franchise. And like that is I admire that because yeah, you could continue selling BioShock games with the exact same structure and gameplay of 1 and 2 and sell 5 million copies consistently for probably another 10 years. But at some point, people are going to get tired of that format. And so until before the game got stale, they were like, no, in the peak of our franchise's run, we're going to shake this shit up. We're going to give you an entirely new tone, an entirely new art direction, an entirely new vibe, an entirely new way to play the game. Like there's no slow plotting and movie. Like you're go, 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 action packed, breakneck pace. Fucking A, man, that game rules. That game rules. Spec Ops The Line, speaking of games that rule. Doesn't rule quite as much as Bioshock Infinite, but it fucking rules. A tier, no doubt. This is one of the best war stories you'll ever get in a video game. One of the best war stories I've ever experienced in any medium at all. It is so hard hitting. I love the agency in the actual gameplay and how that affects the story, but it's not just, okay, I'm going to pick a dialogue option, which don't get me wrong, I fucking love that shit. I love dialogue trees. I love my dialogue having an impact in the narrative, but the moments in Spec Ops where it's like, oh, I have the option to just kill this motherfucker right now. Like I can just pull out my gun, blast this bitch, or I can kind of see where this leads if I don't kill them. And there's multiple moments like that where it's putting you in the position to make a rash decision that sometimes is not the right decision. Sometimes it is the right decision. And like you're having to wrestle with that constantly. And yeah, I love that shit. I love the agency in the gameplay. I love the idea of and this isn't a novel thing, but just the idea of like, yeah, um, you are viewed as totally disposable and you're getting these objectives and missions from higher ups who don't even believe in the objectives and missions they're sending you to go out and do. And that unraveling and I mean not even to get into the whole war is evil and all sides are like of course fucking slaughtering human beings is always going to yeah no shit it's fucking evil but man oh man from an action game standpoint Like if you just want to go and play a dope playing third person shooter, Spec Ops The Line has that in space. I mean, that opening, the helicopter, the destructible environments, like that game fucking rules, dude. That game rules. Hellblade 1. Yeah, D tier. It's a D tier game. It's a game that has some of the worst puzzle design in video game history and some of the best art design, some of the best sound design, some of the best just world building, some of the best fucking you know what? We'll drop it into a C. It's so bad, so bad. The puzzles are so bad that it makes you want to just like disregard this entire game, but there's so much about it that is really fucking impressive. You know what I mean? It is a visual stunner. A And the gameplay actually is better in Hellblade 1 than 2, which I don't know how the fuck they did that, but yeah, there's more of a dynamic feel to the gameplay. And the story is good, but it's not like, at least for me, I get it. I appreciate that you're diving into mental health with that level of intentionality. I appreciate that you did your homework to such a degree with psychosis and the effects of that and trying to portray that with as much respect as possible. But I don't know. It's like, it's kind of funny talking about Spec Ops right before this. It's like there's a way of telling a very similar style of thing, but also enjoying the experience. And I know not all games are meant to be enjoyed, but like not all games are meant to be enjoyed, but no game is meant to be a slog. And this game just feel it's one of the few games that you'll finish in 5 hours, 6 hours, and feel like you played for fucking 20. Um, man, golly, there are things about that just boy. Star Wars Battlefront 2, C tier as well. It is a I think that there's not a lot of meat on the bones. There's no doubt about that. It is very light in the ass. What is it? Maybe 4 hours, 5 hours or so to finish that campaign. But there are some big narrative beats and like kind of shocking sort of reveals, betrayals that take place in this narrative that you're kind of just looking at the predictability of Disney properties, it's like, oh, okay, well, damn, shout out to you. A little bit of balls on you. Okay. And just a good third person shooter, fun to play. And also like the dogfighting sections, some good gameplay variety in there. Fun game. Enslaved Odyssey to the West. This is definitely yeah, I mean this is a B tier game. Um, Probably my favorite Ninja Theory game. I love Heavenly Sword. I'm playing DMC right now. I still got to finish that. Obviously, much better than Hellblade 1 and 2. But I, the thing that it's like Uncharted, it's definitely got a lot of Uncharted energy, but it still kind of keeps intact that character action feel that you know and love from your DMC style experience, and then your Heavenly Sword, and it has that action packed flow to the combat, which I really vibed with, and just an epic story, super cinematic, very well written, very nuanced characters, and yeah, Enslaved Odyssey to the West was a damn good video game. Jurassic Park from Telltale. I I think I'd also go B tier on this one for Telltale's Jurassic Park. This was sort of the you feel Telltale becoming Telltale with this game, where it's like a mesh of point and click and the modern Telltale that we know now from The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us and the Batman games. Like you feel them sort of gaining their footing and leaving behind the old school adventure, point and click style and creating this new, I mean, they revolutionized the adventure game genre. They brought it back to life. And this was sort of them, and really, The Walking Dead is the game that gets the most credit for that. But this is them sort of gaining their footing with that, and yeah, just a good Jurassic Park story. And there's not many of those on the market at all. So if you want to play a good Jurassic Park storyline in a video game, it's pretty much your only option. Don King's Prize Fighter. Um, so I mean, this is a C tier game. It doesn't have a lot going for it in terms of like it doesn't give you that it doesn't give you that fight night champion style storyline or anything like that. But the mini games are so fucking fun here. So fun. And it's not that lame ass shit where, you just have to sim through it and you get the stats applied to your character for when you sim through it. You have real mini games that you're actually participating in. You have like the heavy bag and hitting the mitts and jumping rope and doing your shuttle runs. And so like you're actually participating in all these mini games, which was yeah, that was really fucking cool. So, oh damn, I forgot. I need to add Greedfall to this list. I just replayed and finished Greedfall. Let me yeah, yeah, fuck it. I'll add it to the list real quick. All right. Think we should be good. I also threw Grid Legends in there. Forgot about that. Well, I didn't forget about it. I'm playing it right now, but I'm like right towards the end. I think I got, I don't know, maybe an hour left in that game or so. So we'll go ahead and include it in here. But Greedfall Gold Edition PS5. I played it on the PS4 when it came out, and it was really rough. Crashed multiple times. Not a game I would call broken, but definitely not a game I would call polished. Um, but man, playing through it on the PS5, really clean, quick load times, never crashed, never really ran into any like annoying bugs or having to reload saves or just really clean experience. And it's a fucking great narrative. If you want to play a more, I know a big complaint a lot of people had with Veilguard was like it felt like a soft RPG. You know what I mean? It didn't have a lot of bite to it. And I think Greedfall has a ton of bite to it, a deeply, deeply political game. And I like the idea of having to play as like royalty and your name holding some weight and it's an entire game about being a diplomat and trying to get as many sides to align with you as humanly possible to accomplish this goal towards the end game. And it's definitely got some rough spots, no doubt. I think the open world design is bad. The combat is, reasonable. It's fine. It's nothing all that special, but I think it's a really well written game, a really good narrative. And yeah, if you want that BioWare feel, double A BioWare, but if you want that kind of old school BioWare feel, Greedfall has you covered. I will throw it. Yeah, it's a B tier game, I'd say. Uh Maybe it's A tier. Yeah, probably B tier. Grid Legends. We'll also quickly go ahead and throw that in the B tier. One of the best narratives ever in a racing game. That's my quick sell on it. It's like a fucking full on movie that you're getting to watch in between races, and the racing is really damn good as well. It's just like, okay. My homie Loon told me about it. It's like, dude, this is a really good story. If you're looking for a good story in your racing game, check out Grid because that's what I was saying. I was like, man, I wish there was a I love racing games, but I really want to dive into one with like a rich story. And he's like, this is probably one of the best out there. And it is indeed maybe the best story ever that I've played in a racing game. So shout out to Grid Legends. Wanted to include it in here before I forget it next year and end up not including it at all. It deserves its flowers, no doubt. All right. So we are at the tough point. We got to rank these. We got to go through, rank these bad boys from best to worst, worst to best, however we want to. I think worst to best is the easiest way to go about this. So let's look at that C tier. No D tier games. I thought about that this year where I was like, should I include the games that I put down as well? Because those are technically games that are no longer on my backlog, but not because I finished them, because I didn't like them. Every game on this list I finished, or in the case of Grid Legends, I will finish in like a day. Um, you know, I I don't think it's hard to have like a concrete opinion about a game But, you know, I could have a did not finish tier, which maybe I should let me know in the comments what you think. Should I also include the games that I didn't finish in next year's backlog ranking to because all of this is a lot of positive talk. We talked pretty positively about every game on this list. Um, so maybe it'd be a little bit more spicy to include the games I didn't finish because obviously if I didn't finish them, I probably didn't like them as much as the games that I did finish. So, anywho, let me know that in the comments down below. But let's rank what we have here for this video. And if y'all do want the, you know, full every game that I played next year, I'll do that. I'll make sure to include every game and talk about the ones that didn't finish as well. That'd be like fucking 60 games on here. But anywho, I would say the worst game, Hellblade, is the worst game on this list, without a doubt. Once again, personal opinion, but without a doubt for me, worst game I played. And then I would go with probably Deadly Premonition, um, and then Firewatch. Don King Prize Fighters go into the top of the list. And I think that's actually the order right there. Don King's Prize Fighter, A Short Hike, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Yeah, that's going to be the C tier. And now for the B tier, let's go the best. Let's start with the best on this one. I mean, the best game on this list is Vice City, but the definitive edition almost also makes it the worst. So we're gonna drop it down to the bottom. That game was so rough, so fucking buggy, so busted. I don't know why. Like San Andreas did not have nearly. I mean, San Andreas had issues, but not nearly the amount of problems of Vice City. And I know those games all got cleaned up recently. So I want to go through and play GTA 3 next year before the release of 6. I would say probably, yeah, I would go Jurassic Park the game, second worst game in the B tier. Um, yeah, I'd probably say Grid Legends would be next. And then for the best game on this list, I think we're looking at Fable 2, shit, Gears 3, Life is Strange 2, so we'll actually drop Life is Strange 1 towards the bottom. Greedfall definitely. Greedfall actually might be my favorite. Yeah, I would go Greedfall above everything on the B tier except Fable 2. I would probably, yeah, I'd go Life is Strange 2 over Kiwami. I would go Blitz the League 2 over Kiwami as well. That's tough with The Walking Dead, the full series, all of the seasons, because I would take Walking Dead 1 and maybe I should have included all of them. Anywho, I would have definitely taken The Walking Dead 1 to the 1 and 2 over Life is Strange 2, I think. You know, I'm going to put those right next to each other. Um, I'm going to go The Walking Dead over Life is Strange, I think. That's really tough. I would take The Walking Dead 1, 2, and 3 over Life is Strange 2, though. And I mean, that has to mean something. Enslaved Odyssey to the west, I would go above Yakuza Kiwami. I would go Yakuza Kiwami over Life is Strange 1. And yeah, Grid Legend. Yeah, I'm gonna go Grid Legends above Life is Strange, I think. Yeah. That I think that's gonna be my list right there for the B tier. And then moving on up to the A tier, we have, I would, bottom of the A tier. Yeah, Gears 4 would be bottom of the A tier. Also in that bottom range would be Gears 2. Wolfenstein 1 would be towards the bottom of the A tier. Mafia 2 would be towards the bottom of the A tier. The Saboteur would be towards the bottom. Not this is no order, just kind of getting them separated a bit. And yeah. Let's actually start to order these because I think that's probably it for the bottom. Worst game on the A tier for me would probably Gears 2 and then Gears 4 and then the Saboteur. Yeah, and then Mafia 2. Wait. Yakuza 0 would definitely be below Mafia 2, right above the Saboteur, I think. Um, and then yeah, Wolfenstein 1 above Mafia 2, I think. And I'll go Oblivion above Wolfenstein The New Order. And I will go. Damn, now it's getting tough. Now it's getting very, very tough. Huh. I'll go Alan Wake 2 above Oblivion. And then I think I would yeah, I'm gonna go Shadow of the Tomb Raider above Alan Wake 2. I am I think wait. Gears 5 actually. I like Gears 5 a lot, but not to that degree. It would go Gears 5 would go above Oblivion, below Alan Wake 2. I do believe. Yeah. Actually, shit, I don't Gears 5 might be even a little bit lower than that. I mean, I don't know. I like Gears 5. But you know what? I'm gonna go Gears 5 below Mafia 2, above Yakuza 0, I think. That kind of feels right. No, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably right. I like Mafia 2 more than Gears 5. And well, it's also the definitive edition of Mafia 2 as well. Kind of got to factor that in because I am not specifically just ranking Mafia 2. The definitive edition was a little bit busted. So we'll go Gears 5 actually above Mafia 2, right below Wolfenstein The New Order, I think. A little bit conflicted on that because I really like Gears 5 a lot. That's tough. We're getting into the part of the tier maker where it gets pretty fucking rough because we're in like all-time great camp. Like a lot of these games are some of the best games I've ever played in my life. Um and then really everything on this front runner list here, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Spec Ops, Mafia 1 and Wolfenstein 2, those are some of the best games I've ever played ever, period. So ranking these four is really fucking rough. I think I would go I think I would go maybe this exact order. No, I'd go Mafia 1 at the top of the A tier. But I think this would be my order otherwise. Yeah, we'll go with it for now. Got to go with the gut in the moment. That's how I'm feeling. Mafia 1 at the top of that A tier. Right below it would be Wolfenstein 2. S tier, ranking the best of the best. Skyrim would be at the bottom. I think BioShock Infinite would follow. Maybe Pyre actually would follow that. Pyre's such a fun fucking video game, but BioShock Infinite's just level design is unbelievable. And then we come to the three Rockstar games: GTA San Andreas, GTA 5, and Red Dead Redemption. I mean, hey, they make the best games in the world. You know, especially for that 2001 to like 2000 and really 2001 to 2013, probably the best run of any video game developer of all time. So yeah, I guess it makes sense for all three of them to be in that top three. But Actually, I don't know. Maybe I would go by GTA 5 below BioShock Infinite. That fucking campaign is so good. But I don't know. No, no. I think I'm no. I'm trying to find a way to not have all Rockstar games in my top three, but truth be told, it's just they're the best games on this list. Um, I will go maybe that exact order: San Andreas at the top, GTA 5, and then Red Dead. I think that would be my exact order there. Um, yeah, I think that would be my exact order for I could argue back and forth GTA 5 and Red Dead 1, but yeah, I think that's more order. GTA San Andreas at number 1, GTA 5 at number 2, Red Dead at number 3 for the top 3 quote unquote backlog games, even though I've already played all of these. So these are all sort of replay games, but I never finished Red Dead 1 until this year, so I guess you can throw that in the backlog to some degree. Which yeah, I mean that's a backlog game. So let's we can real quick separate it. Replays. GTA San Andreas is a replay, so that'd be my favorite replay of the year. 5 was a replay, and Mafia 1 was a replay. Let's see what else. What else? Mafia 2 was a replay. Greedfall was a replay. Is that or GTA Vice City was a replay? Yeah. Okay, those are the only replays. So my favorite replays of the year: number one, GTA San Andreas; number two, GTA 5; number three, Mafia 1; number four, Mafia 2; number five, Greedfall; number six, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, but it's the definitive edition version. So for my backlog games, the list in order: number one, Red Dead Redemption 1; number two, Bioshock Infinite; number three, Pyre; number four, Skyrim; number five, Wolfenstein 2; number six, Spec Ops The Line; number seven, Shadow of the Tomb Raider; number eight, Alan Wake 2; number nine, Elder Scrolls Oblivion; number 10, Wolfenstein The New Order; 11, Gears 5; 12, Yakuza 0; 13, The Saboteur; 14, Gears 4; 15, Gears 5; 16, Fable 2; 17, Gears 3; The Walking Dead at 18; Life is Strange 2 at 19; Blitz the League 2 at 20; Enslaved Odyssey to the West at 21; Yakuza Kiwami at 22; Grid Legends at 23; Life is Strange 1 at 24; Jurassic Park at 25; Don King's Prize Fighter at 26; A Short Hike at 27; Star Wars Battlefront 2 at 28; Firewatch at 29; Deadly Premonition at 30; and Hellblade 1 at 31. So what do we have? 31 plus 6. So we have a grand total of 37 backlog games completed this year, or backlog slash replays completed this year. I want to play more. I definitely want to do some more replaying next year. Only replaying 6 games. I feel like I can bump that up. I don't know. 2025 is so stacked with new games coming out. But yeah, man, that's the official backlog ranking of the year. Congratulations, round of applause to Red Dead Redemption 1 for being the 2024 backlog game of the year. And if you want to say, well, technically, you already played it in another year, you already know how great it is, then round of applause to Bioshock Infinite for being the backlog game of the year in 2024. Let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite backlog game you played this year? And I 2025 is so fucking stacked. I don't know if I'm really gonna. I think maybe I'll be able to have like 10, 15 games that I rank next year. I'd like to hit at least 20, something worth actually going in and ranking, but we shall see. 2025 is going to be a heavy hitter for new releases, but pumped to dive into that. Make sure to stay tuned, subscribe, click the icon, all that shit to be notified when the next video goes up, because we got heavy hitters on the way. We have our 2024 Unnecessary Game Awards showcase, where we're going to be going through like 15 different categories and selecting winners. Loon and I will be going through and doing that. That'll be a behemoth of a video probably going to be 3, 4 hours long. I went through and made sure I have trailers and shit for all of the games that were nominated. It's going to take a long time to get that edited and everything, but December it will be released. My official 2024 Game of the Year ranking will release in December, as well as Loon's 2024 Game of the Year ranking will release in December. And we're planning to do a Indiana Jones review, like an in-depth Indiana Jones The Great Circle review. So stay tuned. A lot of good shit on the way. Once again, hit me in the comments down below your favorite backlog games that you played this year. Let me know, and I shall see you good people very soon. Goodbye.